Hi, everyone who has come back. If you are just here for your STX Weekly dose, you would have noticed I tried some new music today. Um, Let me know what you think. How did that go? But if you are coming as a continuation from the VC report radar that I just completed about, a little more than maybe half an hour or so ago, then welcome back. I am still in the same spot. One interesting development has been that either Croatia or Belgium will most likely go out of the World Cup. Canada did score, they made it 2-1. Um, well, Morocco scored an own goal, so made it 2-1 there, but it is possible that Croatia or Belgium will already be knocked out, the first big name to get knocked out. My money is on Croatia going through in that game. Um, Let me know who your money is on. As always, drop me a line in the chat. Ben is still away on his African safari situation. All right. With that said, I'm going to keep it short. We're going to jump into the top news for the week, starting with the top funding rounds. All right. Um, Brisbane sports tech company VALD, has raised $36 million. VALD is basically an injury prevention and load management hardware. So they do these big pieces of equipment that you would stand on or jump on and do all sorts of measurements to see how your muscles are performing. Been around for a long time, very cool company. They had plans of going for an IPO in 2021, which they abandoned and instead raised a nice chunk of change, 36 million. This money will go to fund acquisitions, nearly double its headcount, and expand in the US healthcare market. So also moving away from sports. They've been around since 2015, Queensland based. As I said, they monitor athletes' performance and help with injury prevention and recovery. They already work with 16 national rugby league teams. That's the Aussie, sorry, I think NRL is, the rugby league, or it could be the Aussie Rules League, I'm not sure. That's horrible from my part, I should know better. They work with a bunch of Premier League teams, NBA teams. So they're working with like the top guys out there already. They had a lot of talk of going for an IPO, as I've already mentioned, and then decided against it, which seems to be the theme. A lot of companies who have IPO'd in the recent past are maybe not so happy about their decision given the current global climate. So Wild has decided to keep the money or take the money from private hands and keep the company a bit more agile, nimble, and so on. Okay, that's the first one. That's Wild. What is up next? Sponsor United is up next. This is a sponsorship management platform or sponsorship like metric measurement platform founded by a couple of guys who work together in for the Miami Dolphins. The NFL team. They founded Sponsor United in 2017, and they are already tracking 250,000 brands, including every US-based major sports league team. I don't know if they're saying that all of those are signed contracts, but they're working in some way, or at least they're tracking it. That's what they said. Who have they got this money from? They've got $35 million, so a nice big chunk of change. That's Series A funding from Spectrum Equity at a valuation of north of 100 million. Yeah, so these guys are clearly doing well. That brings their total investment to 38.6 million, just under 40 million. What will they do with this money? A lot of things. They expect to reach about 100 employees by the end of the year. They will also invest in data and IT. Yeah, with 35 million, I guess you can do a lot. That is Sponsor United. Who's up next? Next up is an Indian company, Gamergy. They raised 3 million in a pre-Series A funding round. So Gamergy has actually been around for a while. They have continued to raise money in the Indian, let's say, esports ecosystem. So esports as a service, they call it. So they want to develop more tech solutions and esports. EAS. That sounds great. They raise money from Gujarat Venture Finance Limited and Unicorn India Ventures, who both backed the energy from early stages. It's an interesting company doing quite well. They've grown from 1 million to 4 million users. They are serving tournaments for 22, let's say, esports titles. So basically games, including CSGO, Call of Duty, yeah, all your standard ones. Esports in India is generally doing very well. It's a fast growing segment. And guys who are on top of it, we've seen companies like Loco, Router, Gamergy now, they're all having raised big chunks of money in this last year. Guys, while I'm giving this news, if there are goals in the games, please drop me a line in the chat. Let me know how things are going between Croatia and Belgium. I just want Luka Modric to keep going far in the tournament. That Croatian midfield is pretty brilliant. All right. That is our top funding news. I'm going to go now to actually a story from the World Cup. It's a fun piece of tech. It's not a major story, but Adidas is in ball technology. So I don't know if you guys watched the Portugal game where Ronaldo claimed a goal, but apparently was not given. Well, he claimed the goal, but was not given the goal. The goal was given to Bruno Fernandes in a 2-0 win for Portugal. This is the first goal. And a lot of replays that showed exactly this view, which kind of looks like it's touching Ronaldo's head, but you can't say for sure. The end decision was that it was Bruno's goal. So a lot of viewers, me included, were left wondering how did they make that decision? Well, it turns out that it was down to Adidas's in-ball technology that had its first major moment in an awarded goal. So what does this in-ball technology do? Basically, it was tracking movements. This is a great set of images. There's a sensor in the ball which sees how the ball deviated and so on. So this is as Bruno kicks the ball in, tries to basically cross the ball in. And when Ronaldo gets close to it, you'll see there is no deviation or movement. And finally, when the ball bounces, you see the deviation again before it goes into the goal. So if you're a fan of cricket, it kind of works like a sneakometer, which tells you if the ball has edged the bat on its way behind the wicket, whether it's keeper or slips, whatever, usually keeper. And it was this technology that um, awarded the goal to Bruno. My question here was, it looks like the ball is checking from well, the sensor is not on the outside of the ball, right? It's in the inside. So for the sensor to detect movement, the ball has to change. There has to be a deviation, a movement that is significant enough. It looked like even from this image, maybe there's just a bit of daylight. I don't know, but if it brushes the hair, I don't know if that would be enough of a deviation for the ball to detect it. There would be some sort of alteration in the spin. Maybe that's what it also detects. So all said and done, the sensor in the ball detected that there was no contact. And that's how the goal went to Bruno. Not a great, let's say, a super fancy bit of news, but I just thought it was a nice, interesting piece of tech that explained um, what happened in the game. This is the statement by Adidas. In the match between Portugal and Uruguay, using the connected ball technology housed in Adidas's Al Rihla official match ball, we were able to definitively show no contact on the ball from Cristiano Ronaldo for the opening goal in the game. No external force on the ball could be measured, as shown by lack of a heartbeat in our measurements. This is the deviation. Here, the 500 hertz IMU sensor inside the ball allows us to be highly accurate in our analysis. So maybe my questions are already put to rest. That was the Adidas ball. I want to quickly show you, I saw this story. It's not a big one, but connected to football, just staying on that theme. Player Tracker, a company that we know pretty well, and they've actually raised a big funding round this year in 2022. This is the attachment, the number one wearable tracker in football. They've been around for a while, Israeli company. They launched a partnership with Manchester City. So Manchester City originally had like a smart scarf. Um, they also had a band at one point, but they now launched something called City Play, which is a wearable performance tracker. So while you're playing football, you get a bunch of data about how to play football a bit better. It measures shooting strength, passes, shot like velocity, speed, etc. Yeah, I haven't used this device. I have used other devices in the football space, but this one is supposed to be the market leader. And you can see big athletes, Erling Haaland, Jack Grealish. I mean, when they come into the Man City ecosystem, it's pretty cool. It also gives you, check out the score, it gives you how good you are on both feet, your dribbling, first touch, agility, speed, all those good metrics. So yeah, not a new piece of tech, but just a new partnership between PlayerMaker and Leicester City. All right, fall on the basketball and a company called Noah Basketball. Also, I believe we featured them in on our show in the past. Well, earlier they are known for their, let's say, shot king. So this is the company. This is a little video which talks about how, like, you can see this guy moving around. I'm not playing the video, but you see this guy moving around. The application automatically plots where the shot has been taken from. It plots misses or makes. It also gives you additional data on the ball arc, the depth. I'm not actually sure what depth means. The average left and right, like did the ball curve at all through the air or was it dead straight? And then it gives you an overall score, also telling you about your consistency, B plus, B minus, or so on. So no basketball, really interesting product. The one thing that was missing in this product was, and that was the feedback that they got from sports teams, was what if they could have a camera where which would recognize the player that was shooting, and they had set it up in such a way that, like if you had multiple guys shooting at the same time, you don't know where the shot is coming from. How do you map it to each player? This technology works really well with one person at a time, right? So we created our first 3D product. This is great, we love it, but what would be off the charts is if you could identify the players without them wearing anything. So the way right now they do it is they have some sort of tag which identifies a shot. So they developed facial recognition technology that they began offering along with their tracking, and now they have installed this system mounted to 4K cameras. It's now available for 26 of the 30 NBA teams. So they've really gone deep in the NBA, which is great to see. Yeah, attracted millions of shots, and they give you a bunch of attributes like what is the perfect shot angle? It should be 45 degrees, should enter the hoop 11 inches from the front rim. Like pretty interesting data points. So you have to try to get to that, let's say, those technical attributes in your shot. So Noah Basketball adding, or let's say enriching their their feature or their offering. Okay, from basketball, I'm going to take you into the world of tennis. And this is not usually very popular because I'm going to talk about NFTs. Um, the Australian Open, which if you haven't, actually, I should have pulled up the AO Art Ball website, right? So this is the Australian Open Art Ball, which was their NFT. They basically divided the court into 6,996, something like 7,000 slots, whereby if the ball, which is just enough for the ball to land, and if the ball landed on any of those spots on the court, which had a corresponding NFT, and if you own the NFT and the ball landed on your spot for a match-winning shot, then you got some cool rewards. Yeah, and some pretty cool stuff. They have brought this program back for 2023. Only that they beef it up. So what have they added? So sorry, 6,756, I said 900. This is in January. This is 19 by 19 centimeter plot on the tennis court surface. And if the winning shot from any of the games went in, you got some rewards. And especially if the winning shot went in from a championship game, which could be the men's singles, women's singles, doubles on both sides, mixed doubles, and so on, then there were some incredible rewards. But now what they're also saying is that NFT holders will get tickets to the Australian Open 2023. They will get a pair of complimentary 7-day ground passes for week 2. So the big week of AO 2023. This is, I mean, basically, that's a lot of tickets. It's like nearly 14,000 tickets, 13,500 tickets that they will go. Plus, they will be, they can claim multiple pairs of tickets if they own multiple balls. What else? They allowed AO ground passes. There is a United Cup, which is a separate tournament. They will get access to that. They will get a deeper fan experience with SuperSite, so different streaming tools. Also determine on depending on the results that are to secure match points and benefit from a new plot, right? I mean, so they can swap stuff. I saw this earlier, but it's not so important. The main thing is that Art Ball holders got tickets for week 2 of the program, plus they got some additional fan experience, let's say points or bonuses, which is, I mean, all my favorite NFT launches, and it seems that are continue to deliver that promise. So kudos to the Australian Open deck. The Australian Open, and my final story of the week. Now, this is an interesting one. It's not really a sports tech story. It is more a sports investment story. Hertha Berlin, right here in Berlin. I can't say my home team because I don't really support them, even though we live in Berlin. They're not even Berlin's team of choice. That'll be FC Union. But Hertha Berlin agreed to sell 64.7% of their stake to 777 Partners. So this is a German club now, which is being bought over by a financial investor. This is a private equity firm. Yeah, I know I said VC in the title, probably should have been PE, but anyway, that is now interested in buying a German football club. This is subject to approval by the DFL and the club board. Now, the eagle eye amongst you watching would ask, hey, Ron, Germany has a 50+1 rule, so not everybody can just go buy a club. How are they doing this? Well, 777 is circumventing this has agreed to acquire 64.7% controlling stake, blah, blah, blah. Yes. In order to circumvent the Bundesliga's 50+1 ownership regulations, 777 Partners' voting rights within the Burning Club will be restricted to 49%. So they will be owners, but they still will not be majority, let's say, have any sort of majority voting power, which is the big point here. So the agreement is subject to blah, blah, blah. We see the holding, which by Tenor Holding, an investment firm which has put about 375 million into the club already. Tenor Holding is held by a German, Lars Windhorst. He's the chief executive of Tenor Holding. So we are selling our shares to Hertha, blah, blah, blah. And Hertha is a big club. Obviously, they're a founding member of the BSC, the big historic club. And this expands 777's, let's say, portfolio of football teams that they own. That looks like there's FC Genoa in Italy, is London Lions, which is part of the British League, Sevilla with 2018, or they have part ownership of 20. This is Red Star is some team. This team, I forgot Can't remember the logo. This is Standard Liège. Sorry, this is in Belgium's first division. Standard Liège, and they have Vasco. So they and Melbourne Victory as well, of course, Argentina football. So they have a big lineup of sports entities, including some big, and that's a bunch of startups and companies that they invested in. So this is a company that has their own, let's say, global network of football teams. And why this is important is because it's building what other people are already doing. City Football Group, for example, I always look at them when I find articles about new ownership. City Football Group is now looking to buy a Portuguese team. They've been in the market for this for a Portuguese club for a while. I got to know this recently, and I was wondering which one. They are apparently in talks with Port, Portimonense. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that badly. But Portugal is becoming an attractive proposition to investors because their league rights, league broadcast rights, are up for renegotiation in a couple of years. So owners now expect to increase their profits in a significant way. City Football Group looking to claim a stake in Portugal. And as we saw, 777, Vasco is in there. And that has a lot to do with Brazil's new Libra soccer league, which is their breakaway soccer league, which already has been voted down. People who are following the story, I would actually recommend, there is a fantastic YouTube video which explains this. Let me just pull it up. I'm not going to play the video, but just show you what it is. It's by a channel called Tifo. It's a great video that ads. But what's happening in Brazilian football? I highly recommend you check out this video by Tifo Football. So that explains what's happening with Libra. And Libra themselves managed to attract investment from Mubadala Capital to sell 20% of the league commercial rights for nearly $1 billion. And Mubadala, which is the Abu Dhabi based investor, they beat out a couple of American firms to get this deal. This happened a couple of months, well, earlier this month in November. So what's happening? Just to recap, we have an American PE company buying a German team now. Yeah, we've seen a lot of movement in Italy, in the Premier League, in the smaller leagues, in Spain, Portugal, for example, but now Germany, which is an interesting one, how they circumvent the 50+1 rule. City Football Group looking in Portugal, and the Brazil's breakaway league raising money from private investors. A lot going on in the world of, let's say, VC and PE money coming in the sports tech. Super interesting time as, let's say, financial investors look at sports and say there are a lot of undervalued assets here and money to be made, it seems. All right, that is a wrap from me. If you haven't yet, please download our latest VC report. I've just done a session. If you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn and you haven't seen the video, we just finished that recording like half an hour or an hour ago. And go skip through it if you want, find the clips that you find interesting. That is the Global Sports Tech VC report. And as always, follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc., etc. All right, that is another episode done. See you guys next week.